Dave, game one in the books, and the area of the team we were most curious about was the offense.
Yeah.
What was your takeaway from week one as it pertains to the offense?
It was just, I thought it was going to be closer to what it looked like against Kansas City with being able to run the ball. But, we also knew that going in that nobody was going to surprise one another. I mean, these are two very familiar teams as far as coaches and play calling and everything. And, I was obviously disappointed. The Mariners scored more than the Seahawks did yesterday. So, I mean, that part of it was just, I mean, I don't feel like, oh man, they need to go get some players. It's not anything like that. It just, to me, is more that I expected more. And, that they were going to, start slow offensively. And it's kind of what they did, actually defensively the first 3 games last year, and that's where a lot of the change took place was, were really good. But then they went on a, 9-game streak there, or 6-game streak, where they were just terrible. They were giving up, 380 to 400 yards. And so, I thought the offense would start a little bit faster. And obviously you and I talked about that during the offseason, and it just didn't. It was just kind of a rough go. And I was disappointed that they only ran for 84 yards. I thought that they would be able to get the run game going a little bit better than that.
Yeah, Mike McDonald after the game was asked his thoughts on the offense.
Yeah, we're hot and cold. We gotta maintain the ball better. We need to be more efficient on early downs, convert more on third down. Good 2-minute at the end. I mean, some good stuff, but yeah, we gotta operate a little more efficiently and be better on first, second down to give us some third downs where we can convert, keep drives going.
Yeah, 3 for 10 on third down.
Yeah, it wasn't awesome. I mean, it was. It seemed awfully conservative to me, and I don't know if that's, hey, let's just kind of dip our toe in the water and get our feet wet here. It just seemed like the play calling was very safe for the most part.
Yeah.
You had a couple shots here and there, but overall, it seemed really conservative to me. And I don't know if that's a result of, the lack of experience together in the preseason. They had one drive together in the whole preseason, the starters. Yeah. So. I know there's practice and all of that. You had the practice with the Packers, but I don't know, probably hard to duplicate actual game action out there, and I think some of that showed to me.
Yeah, I mean, they ran it 26 times, threw it 23 times. So, and then there was the one series where I thought I heard some boos. I heard some boos where they did the one play, the very first play was that screen that they tried to set up over on the 49er sideline, and there was like 6 defenders over there. Mm-hmm. Like they knew that was coming.
Yeah.
And then, I can't remember the play that they ran in between, but then they tried the play that they ran last year against Detroit and against LA where they threw JSN the ball, and then he tried to throw it back to Charbonnet.
Right.
Yeah, and I think that was on third down, and I think that's when everybody started booing, and so it was kind of a weird
couldn't hear that in the press box.
Yeah,
I didn't know they were booing. It's quiet up there.
Yeah, it just a few. I mean, it wasn't like an overwhelming thing, but I thought that was a 3 and out, and so I thought people maybe thought that he was trying to get too fancy there, but. Other than that, yeah, pretty conservative. I mean, a couple of really nice passes from Sam Darnold.
First one right out of the gate, first play of the game.
Out and up, and, he hit JSN. It was just perfect. And we saw Purdy, except for the one interception that he threw, which was really stupid. It really was.
Which one? The one to
the
Job?
Second one. Yeah, I mean, it went right into, there was like 4 guys in that area, and I don't know what he was doing throwing that. But, he rips the middle of the field. EJ took advantage of that, which I thought was awesome watching him because he got beat on the first drive, jumping a little bit the underneath route, and he kind of logged that and then came back, and on that play where he got the interception, he must have dropped like 20 yards deep because he knew it was coming. He did a great job of kind of learning there and logging, like I said, that play. But I mean, as far as the offense, getting back to the offense, they're not playing together right now. And saw a little bit from Anthony Bradford of where, here's the way Ray Roberts put it this way, and we'll get to Rick Woolen as well, but it's It's interesting when you see a guy, and the way Ray put it was, how do you get disinterested during a fist fight? You know, I mean, it's like, you know, this is very intense.
That's when you get knocked out.
Yeah, exactly. So, yeah, and it kind of looked like that a little bit with some of the blocking. But maybe that's also just that they're not sure exactly. And that's usually when you see guys play slow is when they're not sure what they're doing.
Well, that's why I kept thinking, I wonder if the lack of action in preseason hurt them.
Yeah.
Like it's just going to be a slow start for everything that was new. We talked about it over and over and over. Everything's new system, new coaches. You got a new quarterback, new receivers, you know, a new piece on the O-line. So there's a lot that's new there, and having very little time together in actual action outside of practice.
Yeah.
I'm wondering if the coaches look back and rethink that, or if the risk of injury is just too great and they'll just live with, all right, we're going to baby step it and we'll find our rhythm in week 3, 4, whatever. But I'm wondering if that gives the coaching staff a reason to kind of go back and revisit. All right, maybe next year our plan should be altered a bit.
Yeah. Well, and also I wonder how much of it is just the familiarity of the offense that the 49er defense has. And first of all, you know, I was kind of going, man, they got like, I put little orange dots on the guys that had 3 years or less, and there was like 13, 14 of them.
On the Niners?
On the Niners, on their defense. They had a couple of guys that are rookies that are starting. But, you know, you got some really good players there that are pretty familiar with this offensive scheme. So, you know, I don't think it was the worst loss in the world. I mean, the Niners are still good. It's just kind of weird to look back at them. They were 6-11 last year, you know, and they only had 3 guys on their defense back. But they always fill up. They do a great job with personnel because Fred Warner's a really good linebacker. But that kid, Winters, number 53, he was all over the place. He looked really good. And, you know, one of their young guys, that Upton Stout kid, he's a rookie. He made a couple of plays on the ball. I mean, it was, you know, they're just it's a good program that they have. They just kind of had a little hiccup there in between going to the Super Bowl and then going 6-11.
Yeah. Well, I think if you want to look for a positive, there are a few positives. First of all, if you just look at you look at every stat. If you want to look at third down conversion, you want to look at time of possession, you want to look at total yards, look at passing yards. Seahawks got their butt kicked.
Yeah.
But they had this game in the bag.
Mm-hmm.
They were in a position to win this game if not for what happened on that final drive. So is maybe conservative as I feel the offense was, as little as they did. If you just look at stats, they got completely dominated, yet here they were in a position to win this game.
Yeah.
And you kicked it because of, you know, you had some rough plays there, and we'll get into Reek Woolen and all that. But so despite everything that wasn't electric, that wasn't explosive, that wasn't great, and basically every statistical category you want to look at, the Niners dominated them. Yet there they were. They held them to 7 points through the majority of that game until the very end. You held them to 7 points. So you were in a position to win this game. I felt like they lost more than they got beat. You know, they beat themselves, but, you know, we can get into that. But I didn't come out of that disheartened or like, oh, no, this is going to be bad.
Well, and are people really saying that he dropped the ball? Is that really the
Somewhere
story?
after the game that obviously didn't see the replay.
Yeah.
Because that was the initial reaction. It's like, oh, my God, what happened? From the press box, it was impossible to see what happened. I couldn't.
Yeah.
We just saw everybody scramble, and then the 49ers celebrating, going, all right, what did it get knocked loose? Did he just drop it? What happened? And then you watch the replay, and you see that Abe Lucas got his tail kicked on that play.
He did.
And he got shoved right into Darnold as he's bringing the ball back, and it knocked the ball out of his hand.
Yeah, I mean, he got bench pressed.
Yeah.
You know, and look, that doesn't happen to Abe Lucas, man. I was talking to Big Ray about that as well. The reason why is because Ray and I on game day are up till like 3 a.m. Can't go to sleep after the games. But yeah, I mean, Abe, I've seen him so many times drop his center of gravity and just absorb that bull rush. And look, you're going up against one of the best. I thought Bosa also had a little bit of a chip on his shoulder just because I was saying it. Like, he's got declining sack numbers from, what was it, 22 and a half or something when he was NFL Player of the Year, Defensive Player of the Year.
Yeah.
But, you know, and I think the year before that, it was 10.5. Last year, it was 9. And, I thought he had a little bit of an attitude, but that guy's a ridiculously good pass rusher. Same thing with George Kittle. Same thing with Brock Purdy, man. They gave him that money. I wasn't entirely sure or entirely convinced that guy is worth that kind of money. He is. He's
just good.
Is.
You have to. I hate doing it.
Yeah.
Got to tip my tiny cap to him. I mean, he's a Niner, and it makes me nuts. But he's just good. Is he electric? No. Is he fast? No. Does he have a great arm? Nope. But he just makes the right calls most of the time. Yeah, he had that bad pick. Okay, but he just seems to make that play that kills you, that breaks your back, and you think you got him bottled up, and he's mobile enough to get out of there and keep the play alive, and he just seems to have timing. That's what it just seems like. His timing is just really good because he doesn't have the fastball. It's not a noodle arm, but it's not a cannon either. He's just kind of average everywhere, yet he makes it work really well for him.
Yeah. Yeah, he does, and he really understands that offense, and Kittle is a ridiculous route runner. I mean, you just totally underestimate that guy. But, I thought the two plays that really stood out to me, one good and one bad, was on their very first drive, we're off the field. It's 3rd and 9, and we get the mystery roughing the passer call
on Leonard
against Leonard Williams.
Horrible call.
I could not figure that one out. But again, I mean, you go back to there were some penalties. I think Reek actually extended a drive that ended up resulting in a blocked field goal, right? And so you're like, okay, well that's a wash, fine. But in this case, they went down and scored, and that was the little out route that they ran to Kittle down on the 5-yard line. But we're off the field, 3rd and 9. I mean, 39-yard line, what would that be? Like 49?
What about a 56?
Yeah, and guy doinked one off the upright, so I seriously doubt that they would try there. That one really bothered me. But on the good side was the play that Ernest Jones made that I talked about earlier, that he was able to get back in that passing lane. And like I said, he must have dropped 20 yards.
What was just a massive disparity in targets out there that I thought was interesting. I mean, it was a great day for JSN, except for a really costly fumble. That hurt. You can't have it. Love the kid. He's a brilliant player. You can't have that. But 9 catches on 13 targets, 124 yards. Nobody else had more than 3 targets.
Yeah.
And it seemed like he was locking in on JSN. And I don't know if that's true. That's just how it appeared from up in the press box, that was his guy. And that's who I'm throwing it to.
Yeah.
I mean, Cooper Kupp had 2 catches on 3 targets. You had K9 out of the backfield, 3 catches for, a total of 4 yards. So, I mean, the idea that Elijah Arroyo had 1 target and A.J. Barner had 2 targets, 1 catch. I mean, just that's got to change.
Yeah, I think he kind of ran home to mama on that one. It was like, okay, I'm seeing some things maybe that I don't like. Who am I most confident in? And, because I would really like to see A.J. Barner get more involved. Same thing with Arroyo. So, but yeah, I mean, that and you look at what Brock Purdy did. I mean, he spread it around. He had Pearsall, McCaffrey, Kittle, Tongus. This kid Tongus, Kyle Juszczyk got one of his touches. I mean, that guy gets maybe 3 or I think he runs the ball like 5 times a year in his career, and and it always they throw it to him probably twice that amount. But you look at the one long, what was that, like a 25-yard throw to Kyle Juszczyk. So they spread it around, and I think I'd like to see Darnold do that a little bit more, like you said, use some of his weapons, particularly the checkdowns to the running backs. Because look, I mean, you start off, I always say this about running backs, you hand the ball off, it's in the scrum there. You got the 9-on-7 in there that's just like everything's clogged, but get him, let him put some of those moves that he's making in the box out on the perimeter, and where it's just one guy they have to beat. And yeah, we just didn't get much of that. I typically don't sit there and complain about play calling, and a lot of times it's kind of like how the game goes. But I think you have a point there, and that's probably going to be addressed during this week. That look, JSN may be your first read, but let's get to number 2 and number 3.